The first episode went really well, and I still got a bunch of movies on my watch list. So let's do this. Let's choose a random one and force myself to watch it. The only rule, of course, is that I will not be allowing myself to re-roll anything. So, I mean, there are 40-hour miniseries and, like, insane, long, depressing Holocaust shit. You know, it's a watch list. Things that I should eventually watch. Here we go. Let's see what we'll be watching today. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Birth. No clue what this is. No clue what this is. Let's find out, huh? All right. Jonathan Glazer. He did Silence of the Lambs. Okay, I'm into that. Be careful what you wish for. Just from the poster, this looks very vampire-y. But let's see. It took Anna 10 years to recover from the death of her husband, Sean. They spell Sean right. Hell yeah. But now she's on the verge of marrying her boyfriend, Joseph, and finally moving on. However, on the night of her engagement party, a young boy named Sean turns up, saying he is her dead husband reincarnated. At first, she ignores the child, but his knowledge of her former husband's life is uncanny, leaving her to believe that he might be telling the truth. That sounds sick. Love the premise. Love me a good sci-fi. This looks kind of horror-y and creepy. Jonathan Glazer's the best. Silence of the Lambs is one of my all-time favorite movies. 2004, Birth. Looking forward to it. I will report back here in a moment. See you soon.
You know, the man you say you are was my brother-in-law. If you were my brother-in-law, you'd say it was impossible for you to be sitting right here in front of me. You didn't believe in life after death, and that mind, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, disappears.
This was extremely uncomfortable and not at all what I expected. I mean, look at the poster. The poster is extremely misleading, I think. Her face looks like a knife, and it's like red. I mean, you think horror movie, right? Instead, it's this bizarre drama about Nicole Kidman falling in love with a 10-year-old. This has got to be like every pedophile's favorite movie. It's super creepy. By the way, I was super wrong about the director. I was thinking of Jonathan Demme, who directed Silence of the Lambs, of course. This is from Jonathan Glazer, who did Under the Skin. There are some similarities stylistically between this and Under the Skin, but Under the Skin was super dark and super creepy and innovative with a lot of its techniques. I love that movie. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. There's one scene in particular, and you know the one, if you've seen it, that it will just stick with you. I mean, it stuck with me for weeks afterwards. It's so unnerving. So Nicole Kidman is due to be married to this guy 10 years after her previous husband died. And then this little kid wanders into her house and is like, I need to speak to you privately. He tells her that he is her dead husband, and he has all kinds of knowledge that only the dead husband would have. So she does start to believe him, and she's not too thrilled with getting married to this new guy now because she's falling in love with her old husband, who happens to be in a 10-year-old body, right? So that's your concept. The falling in love part is where it gets questionable because there's a lot of weird sexual stuff between her and this 10-year-old. There's a literal, like, I mean, this made me a little worried, frankly, about Jonathan Glazer. I mean, I love Under the Skin. I'm sure he's a good guy. I don't want to say anything, but this is like, I mean, it gets a little dicey. I mean, there's a moment when Nicole Kidman is taking a bath and she's naked in the bath, and then this 10-year-old kid comes in and he just starts undressing. It's like a striptease. It's the creepiest shit ever. He like takes his shirt off and like unbuckles his belt, and the camera's just like on him, and he's like taking everything off. He gets off to his under his tidy whities, and she's just staring at him in the bathtub. And then, like, you know, it pans up so we don't see him super naked or whatever, but it's still, he gets all the way into the bathtub with her. And the whole time I'm like, no, no, my God. But he gets into the bathtub with her. And at that point, she's like, what are you doing? There's also a straight up, like later in the movie, there's a straight up kiss between her and this 10-year-old. It's just extremely weird and uncomfortable. And I know this is like the argument that everyone throws around with stuff like this, but I mean, if the genders were reversed, oh boy. But it's still, it's just creepy as all hell. There is some stuff that I liked in the movie. It's interesting that her entire family is involved in this thing. She's not like doing this all herself, like trying to keep it a secret or whatever. She's like openly talking about it with her soon to be husband, real husband, and like her mom and dad. Like, this fucking kid is crazy. He knows all this shit. It's wild.
I understand that this is gonna sound crazy. I've met somebody who seems to be Sean.
Am I to understand that that 10-year-old boy told you he was your late husband, Sean?
He said, "It's me, Sean. What am I supposed to think?"
He's back.
What do you want?
You'll be making a big mistake if you marry Joseph.
There's a boy this tall who wants to marry my fiance.
So the interesting stuff is him coming into the apartment and like telling the people that he knows them, and spouting off things from their past, and then all their jaws just on the floor. That's the fun stuff. There's not enough of that in there. It starts with like the first 15, 20 minutes, but then they all just kind of accept it, or it didn't work for me. Beyond just it being extremely creepy and like, if pedophilia coded is a thing, this is it, man. I mean, the striptease in the bath, I was watching it like through my hands. I was like, oh my God. What's funny too is that this is a child, a 10-year-old child that has a mother and a father, right? So they have to explain away the mom and dad because the kid has to be involved in an hour plot. He has to be over at the family's apartment. And so Nicole Kidman just calls his mom and is like, hey, let him sleep over with me. I'll make sure he's well by tomorrow. Meaning like she's going to try to rid him of this fantasy by the morning. But like, in what world would a mom let her kids sleep over at a stranger's house? It's just like the Michael Jackson school of thinking. There's so much in this movie where I'm just like, oh, no, what, why, what? Oh, Jonathan Glazer, I mean, God bless you for Under the Skin. This is, I don't know what to say. It's just, so yeah, this movie was weird and unsatisfying. There wasn't enough of the fun stuff at the beginning in it, and all of it was just truly and frankly bizarre. I don't recommend it, but it wasn't boring. I mean, it was an interesting watch. I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen a pro-pedophile movie. So yeah, Jonathan Glazer at the forefront of the pedophilia movement. I can't say that word in a YouTube video, right? I've said it like 5 times. Oh well. I do love Under the Skin, and if you haven't seen that, I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. Sexy Beast is another one of his that's on my list. Maybe there's some other heinous act that one champions. Genocide? Torture? We'll have to see. We got pedophilia out of the way, though. This was extremely weird. Don't recommend it. Pedophilia is bad. Cheers.